Sure.
And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host. And tonight I'm delighted to welcome back my friend and yours, John Martin. And John is an educator, and he touches on a whole variety of things, social studies, history, economics, civics. What am I missing here? You're all over the place.
I am. After 21 years of teaching in New London, I've spent the past, finishing my 5th year at the Academy of the Holy Family, which is a Catholic high school, international school. So it's a day and boarding school in Baltic. And so I started off being the history guy, and now I'm also teaching a couple of sections of coding, computer science, and I'm handling the. I'm handling my.
Mic's on here. I'm not mic'd up.
I am mic'd up. I'm also handling the Google Workspace, so the network and things like that. So it's they keep me busy.
Boy, I'm telling you, I'm really on top of things tonight. Forget my mic here with my introduction of John Martin. So at least he's prepared, if I'm not. But John's in again, and he's in a new capacity. Last fall I had him on a couple of times. He was I thought, a very, very credible candidate for the New London School Board. As with the GOP in general, we had a tough time, but I think he clearly articulated some of the key issues facing the schools in the district last fall. But tonight he's in as a brand new job with the New London Republicans. He was recently elected the chair, so I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much, Marty.
And thank you for coming on the show.
It's always a pleasure.
And so I think we'll hone in primarily on the new task at hand here, as opposed to regurgitating what we did last fall. But we do have a national election coming up.
We do.
Have state elections coming up, and in a year and a half we'll have our municipals. So there's always an election. Every year there's something to do.
Yes, sir. And I'm learning that. It's It's an interesting time to. I was reluctant to become the chair, and it's a lot. Honestly, it's a lot of work. And I've seen, Kat Goulart, who was our last chair, and in many, many ways, it's a thankless job. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of effort. I mean, you've been involved in the RTC, and you've served in city government for many years, and you know exactly.
I did a term as chair back in the mid-'90s.
So,
only one term for 2 years. I had enough. In that capacity.
It is, but I'm also really excited about it. I was a reluctant candidate, and but watching how the team of candidates, the slate, really came together, and I saw a lot of things that I haven't seen, and the 3 years that I've been involved in the RTC. I saw us working closely together. I saw a lot of excitement. I saw people coming together. We had a good message. We had some good events. We had great conversations with the citizens of New London. And I'm seeing that enthusiasm grow. So as reluctant as I was to take the position when I was asked, I'm really finding myself looking forward to the next 2 years, and I'm excited about what we can do and the opportunities that we'll have, and sometimes it's time to kind of refocus where we are and reset some of the things that we're at, and I think we have a good team to do that.
Yeah, well, the transition, quite frankly, last week we had an event held in Groton at the barn, second year in a row, and I learned something. I mean, it was promoted as a Lincoln Day dinner. I quite frankly thought it was Abe Lincoln, but apparently it was Emma Lincoln.
Yes.
And you were prepared to give us a little bit of a history on Miss Emma, and I know you wanted to talk about her this evening as well, and her
Absolutely.
her kind of breaking through the glass ceiling many years ago in many different ways.
In many different ways. Yeah, the event was at the barn in Groton, and we thank them we thank them a lot. I mean, they were very hospitable. It was a great event, and on our Facebook page, we shared a couple of reels and some photographs, and we had some comments, including one person who said, "Well, it'd be nice if you had some events in New London." Yeah, we're planning on having events in New London, so I encourage everybody who's viewing and tell all your friends to take a look at us, look us up on Facebook, the New London Republican Town Committee, and you can see some things from our Facebook on that event, and we'll be keeping people posted on future events, when our meetings are, and other good things that are going to be coming down the pike from us. But wonderful event. It was a fundraising event. We did very well, and I was really surprised to see support from the local, RTCs, the other Republican town committees. We had Republican town committee chairs and vice chairs from Waterford, Groton, Old Saybrook, I think, Stonington, Montville.
I think Montville was represented. Our state central persons from
Yep.
Montville.
And we made some money for the RTC to keep us going, and we hope to not just use that to build on to for future campaigns, but also to as a means to use our resources to educate the people in New London, and reach out to the people in New London, and try to forge some new new relationships that I think we've been all overlooking. And we tend to become very adversarial in politics, and that's something that I didn't see a lot of in November, but I certainly saw enough of it. And I don't get it. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Green Party member. I don't care if you're anything. If your idea is good and it's going to be beneficial to the community, then why not put it on the table, and why not sit down with me and other Republicans, and let's see if we can find some common ground.
Yep.
I'm certainly not comparing the Democratic Party in New London to Stalin, but I mean, Churchill and Roosevelt sat down and worked with Stalin to win World War II. And I'm sure none of those guys really were very happy about it. But
And philosophically, Churchill and Roosevelt were certainly not exactly on the same wavelength.
no. So none of them were too thrilled about it, and they all, certainly probably weren't very thrilled about having to sit in the same room and have to play nice. But that's the grown-up thing to do. And the cause is important. And so is having safe streets, paved streets, recreational activities for our children, safe schools, good education, a vibrant downtown, affordable housing.
Clean, safe community.
Yes.
Educate your kids.
That's not a Democrat thing. That's not a Republican thing. That's not a Green Party thing. That should be a New London thing. That's a Whaler thing. And hopefully, and I've had conversations with people from other political parties and organizations, and it's been very cordial. And I hope that continues, because I want to work with any New Londoner.
Yeah. Well, and I know that as having the privilege, and it was a privilege to serve on the city council for a number of years. I mean, I don't have a monopoly on good ideas.
No.
But neither does the other side.
Exactly.
So hopefully you can find some, as you point out, some massage things, a little bit of middle ground, give and take, and come out with something that's for the general best interest of the community.
And that's important. I think it needs to be done, because we have some issues coming up. A lot of people aren't too happy with the budget coming up. There's some questions about the school budget, that one-time funding that people seem to think was going to last forever is drying up. And so there are a lot of concerns.
Yeah.
And
Well, but, in education in particular, but in city government as well, they utilized a lot of this COVID money to expand or build new programs with
Yes.
new personnel with one-time funding. So where's this funding going to come from, as you say, when the COVID money dries up? Who's paying for it?
And we're seeing that in places like Norwich with a $100 million budget, and there's just no way they can sustain that. They're going to be making some hard cuts. Our neighbors across the river in Groton are looking at some very difficult cuts in city and school funding, and these are real problems, and we need real solutions. And I hope that it's not going to be a case of where the kids are going to end up suffering, the elderly end up suffering, the disenfranchised and the marginalized end up suffering. These are real problems. And, contrary to what some people might believe, Republicans do care about the marginalized. We do care about the homeless. We do care about people who are struggling with addictions and mental illness and, feel, disempowered and disenfranchised. I mean, there are ways we can come to common grounds for those. And hopefully, we'll be able to do that. I think the RTC leadership team we have is capable. Gina Davis is the vice chair, and she's dynamic.
Gina Phillips.
Oh, Phillips. I'm sorry.
Northeast Paving.
Northeast
Gina
Paving. And Gina Phillips is our vice chair. And I mean, she's just wonderful. This woman is a powerhouse. And I think that we've got new members coming in and from all sections of the city. And there's an enthusiasm that I'm liking. I like seeing. And I hope that we can build on that and bring in more people. We generally meet every second Tuesday at the Senior Center at 6:30. I was about to say 18:30, and the public's welcome. We welcome to have guests, and especially if you're a registered Republican. If you like what you're seeing, you can ask to become a member of the RTC. We still have some openings. We haven't reached our maximum number of members in the RTC. So there's still room at the table for people to participate, to vote, to work their way up into committees and offices. So second Tuesday, and check out Facebook because we will be announcing those before the meeting.
That is so true. And to note as well that volunteers are welcomed whether you're a member or not.
Yes,
so
sir.
If we are running a program or if we've got something going on, that we certainly are welcoming any interested parties to contribute and participate.
And and the more people we have, I mean, like in any organization, and I know you belong to several civic organizations. When I was active in the local Knights of Columbus, you'd always see the same 5 or 6 people doing like everything, and which is great because we worked well together. We're a good team, and everybody had their jobs, and we all knew it. But volunteering and working on a program or working on an event that is significant to you, I mean, you get back so much more than you put out. And sometimes I wonder if people don't know that. And I mean, I didn't do very much on the Lincoln dinner. Gina, once again, she was the mastermind. She really hustled on that. And but several other members of the RTC put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of their talent in. And I loved watching them at the event because I went up to these people who were so involved in it, and I said, well, congratulations, you did this.
Yeah, well, Cheryl Lawrence from Maryland
Shields.
Kat Goulart as well, Melissa Ford.
Melissa Ford.
Also, I mean, these women did yeoman work.
Oh, they did. They did an amazing job. Everyone had a great time. Chester's Ribs catered the meal, and It's and once again the barn. Keith or Kevin was the point man, behind the bar. Very hospitable, very gracious. The band was great. And all in all, it was just a wonderful event. A lot of people had fun. And yeah, there's people talking politics and stuff like that. But
an event like that, they're supposed to.
they're supposed to, but I mean, there are a lot of conversations about this, that, and the other thing. And also, too, we had 11 amazing raffle baskets. And some people walked away very happy with those. And it was a great night. It was one of those nights where, I got an event I got to go to. I have to, do this. I got to do that. And, I got there, and it was just, the time went like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned the band. The percussionist is Mark Nickerson, the former first selectman out in East Lyme. So he's out there with the sticks, and the band is good. They're fun, and it was at a level where you could converse, but it was made for a good, lively environment.
And if you check out the Facebook page, the New London Republican Town Committee page, there is a reel of them performing.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to just mention, we've been asked by the staff here, I think it's important to bring this up, but this program and everything emanating out of the studio is via SEC TV, which is a Southeastern Connecticut television, public access TV, and there's a bill up in Hartford with the House Bill 5446, and we've been asked to encourage our audience to please contact our or your legislators, your House members, wherever you may live, on this, and there we go. They're posting it up on the screen for you to get them to support public access television. I mean, there are some folks, I think, that would like to pull the rug out on us and not adhere to the law as it was made years and years and years ago. I mean, I've been sitting in this studio on and off for probably since it opened. It goes back a long time. But so please do that. And if you have any questions, you can certainly contact the studio here at 860-440-3154. They can give you some details and also how to reach out to some folks via email. So please do that, and we'd greatly appreciate that. I enjoy doing this show, and I hate to lose this opportunity.
I'd also like to add that anybody listening who feels that there's benefit from not just this wonderful program, but so many programs. If you follow, the SEC TV's YouTube channel, if you're a subscriber, they have content. I mean, there's tons of content every week that's being delivered about things that are going on in our locality. And it's incumbent, if you want to keep this programming, it's incumbent that you call your state rep and your state senator and ask your friends who are also viewers to call your state reps and your state senator and urge them to fight the HB 5446. It's 5446, correct? Yep. It's that important because you don't understand how much you're going to miss this voice and these people that host these shows and produce these programs until they're gone, and then it'll be too late. So if you enjoy the programming, please, just don't post it on Facebook. Call your legislators, call your senator, call your rep, and demand that they support local public television like this.
Yeah, and in SEC TV, this outlet runs from East Lyme, Waterford, New London, and then tacks north up the 395 corridor, up past Plainfield.
Yes.
Except for Norwich, but it's extensive. It's well beyond the borders of New London. And Frank Ficini, who I know the Ficini family for forever, He's in charge and does a great job. So you can contact him, and he can give you the lowdown as well.
Yeah, so please think about it. Please consider it. Because once again, once it's gone, we'll never get this back.
Okay, well, we've done our PSA here,
Yes, we have.
and it was an important one. Well, as you've stepped into this new role, I don't know if you've had even a chance to really wrap your head around it yet, but what do you view as the most pressing issues for the town committee and in your role as chair?
We have about 1,500 registered Republicans in New London. And last November, we had about a little under 400 of them vote. In the primary elections that were held last week, 80 New London Republicans voted in the primary, and only 329 Dems voted in the primary. And, no offense to my Democratic friends, I mean, I don't care if only 329 Dems voted. I am concerned that, most of the Republicans stayed home on Election Day in November, and almost all of them stayed home on the primary. So I think our biggest issue right now is looking at the room that we meet in at the senior center and looking at my vice chair and my executive board and saying, guys, we got to get a bigger room because this room's too small. And that's something we need to work on. It's one evening a month on a Tuesday. If you're a registered Republican, you're eligible to show up and apply to, and if you like what you see and if you think you have something to add, you can apply to be a full member. We'll vet you to make sure that you are indeed a registered Republican. The next meeting will vote you in.
And live in New London.
And live in New London. And the next meeting we vote you in if your bona fides check out. And now you're a voting member. And we take that seriously. So the biggest problem is to really motivate our own base into becoming more involved and running for offices or knocking on doors, or maybe we could be sponsoring a barbecue or a voter drive at a park, or we could be, any number of things, working with the children, doing some sort of activity with the elderly.
Yeah. And there's a plethora of boards and agencies within the city government that need folks to step up and serve on.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's incumbent upon us as Republicans to be cultivating our own and recommending them to serve, and put the heat on the folks uptown to let our people contribute and participate in government, and not have the majority party picking our people.
Right.
Which is what's going on at the moment.
It's our greatest problem right now is to get our membership involved, and or at least receptive, getting them out to vote, hopefully getting them involved in being on a commission or a board, and then perhaps even getting the bug and running for office in a couple of years. I think a second thing that's really important that we really need to be addressing is finding some common grounds where we can, say these are things that we can do as citizens, and and this is where the Republican Town Committee can help in ways that aren't politically partisan, and maybe work with our local civic organizations or Parks and Rec or the Board of Education, working and volunteering in the schools, or volunteering in the park. When I was president of the Calkins Park Association, I used to mobilize our people, and every day, every morning, somebody would be out there, usually 2 or 3 of us, especially during the summer and in the fall when the soccer leagues are playing. We'd have people out there twice a day cleaning up the park. And yeah, I know, well, it's Parks and Rec's job. Well, Parks and Rec's got a lot to do. And it's our neighborhood. It's our neighborhood park. So I had Republicans in my neighborhood who were cleaning the park. I had Democrats who were cleaning the park. I had Green Party people who were doing that. I mean, it didn't matter.
I suspect you may even had some folks that didn't vote.
I guarantee you I know there are people that didn't vote. I mean, we had people who weren't even, New Londoners. I can't count how many times I see some family, some guy with his kids who are like just kicking the ball around the soccer field. And, hey, what are you doing? He said, well, we're picking up the park, man. Like the kids were playing last night. We're going to make it nice and tidy for you kids who are playing today. And, this one gentleman sat there and got his daughters, hey, come on, girls, let's go. You got any extra trash bags? And, they spent 20 minutes picking up trash with us. And I say, hey, where are you guys from? Oh, we're from Niantic. And I said, I hope you enjoy the park, man. Have fun. I love that. And I even love more the fact that here's this gentleman who's, stepping up, using the park and taking responsibility for keeping it clean and tidy and teaching his children to do the same. As a teacher, I'm sorry, Mike. As a teacher, I love that.
That's a nice area. That was my father, one of his boyhood homes growing up in New London was on Crescent Street,
Mm-hmm.
down on the bottom at the corner
Yep.
there, right by the playscape and all that stuff down there. And so I've got memories, different places throughout the community where our family has resided at different points in time, different schools.
Mm-hmm.
From Waller School, just
Waller
across
School,
the street, to Harbor School in Jennings, to the Chapman Technical High School.
It's we've got a beautiful town, and but what it does need hands to help out, and the more hands we have, the easier the task begins, and the more enjoyable it is. One of the things that I was kind of surprised to see is as I'm going into my third year of the RTC, is people. I've seen you dozens of times. But in the RTC, we really got to know each other. So acquaintances can turn into friends, and you just realize that there's a lot of good people in New London of any political party. Yeah. But
I think our paths crossed. Actually, you were teaching, and
at the high school.
Had been mentoring and tutoring
Yes.
at the high school after school, and get a chance to say hello and tip our hat to each other.
But I mean, it was really sitting down in that room together and being on the RTC at these meetings where I really got to know you better and so many other people. We're a small community. We all recognize each other. But it's an opportunity to find like-minded people and find some causes that are worth our time and our effort and create those bonds and bring in new people.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you brought out at the top, and I think this is an important issue facing our local community, and that is we've just had reevaluation. Mm-hmm. So all the property in the community has been reassessed, and we've all got new numbers for values, and it appears that things are not necessarily equal across the community, and that homeowners' assessments have gone up at a much higher rate than other types of properties. And with a reevaluation, I don't believe that it gives the government a license to get a windfall in terms of their revenue. If government is going up like this,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have a reevaluation and property has gone, the mill rate should come down significantly, and government increases in cost should still maintain that relative slight movement up, but not ratchet it up. But people get confused between their assessments and the mill rate, and it's a ratio. And yes. I think part of our job will be is to educate folks on what's going on, and not let a sleight of hand happen with our leadership in the community.
I don't have too many people. I certainly don't, have Mayor Passero on my speed dial, or any of the members of the sitting city council. But I do read, and they've said that yes, the properties have been reassessed, and many of us, I myself found that my home was reassessed at, a much higher value than I expected it would be. I was actually very surprised. I was kind of tempted to sit there and say, okay, is somebody going to make an offer on this house? I might be willing to downsize. But if they say that the mill rate's not going to increase, but I'm not sure. I'd really like to see that in writing. And I agree with you. I think that, if the appraised value of our properties have gone up, that, the mill rate should decrease to keep us from being overburdened. Because even if the mill rate stays the same, many homeowners are going to be looking at a 30% increase.
Well, if it stays the same, your taxes are going up because your property value is going up.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. You want it to go down.
So there needs to be an adjustment, and nobody's coming flat out and saying, yeah, we're going to drop the mill rate down to reflect the increased value of the appraised properties. Another thing that really concerns me, and this is more of a state thing than it is a local thing, is the General Assembly talking about getting rid of the property tax on vehicles.
Right.
And I think this is just flat out pandering by the Democratic majority, because they're going to sit there and say, well, look at a large number of people who are renters, who have nice cars. Eliminating a property tax on their cars is going to be a significant benefit for them. No, if you're a renter, it's not going to be a significant benefit for you. Because think about it this way. You're a landlord. You own 4 or 5 properties in New London, and maybe 20 units, spread out over your 5 properties. And if the city reevaluates your property and your assessed value goes up 30%, and the mill rate is going to hit you, where do you think that landlord's going to try to make up for the losses? Do you think your landlord's going to take a hit? You think he's going to, he or she's going to take that? Are you going to take that 30% hit? No, they're going to pass it along in the rent as soon as they can. So when your lease expires, yeah, you're welcome to stay there, but you're going to find your rent's going up $400 a month, because they want to be able to make money back off of that. Because, ladies and gentlemen, my dad was a landlord when I was a child, and he wanted to give people a decent place to live. And I spent an awful lot of time scraping and painting and cleaning apartments when they emptied out. My dad was a good landlord. But why? He wasn't a landlord to give people a place to live out of the kindness of his heart. He was a landlord because it helped put food on our table. It built wealth for my mom and my dad and my sisters and myself, and it was an investment, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, for those of you who are thinking that this property tax being removed on vehicles as a good thing, you're still going to get bit. And please be aware of that. If you're a homeowner, if you're a property owner, please be aware that unless it's in writing, unless the city comes flat out and says, no, we will not do this, they're probably going to do this. And ultimately, if the mayor wants to do this, the city council is going to do what he wants.
Well, they have a history of being a lapdog. They're not challenging him at all.
It's another thing that the RTC would like to see happen is out of 179 municipalities in the state of Connecticut, there are 2 that do not have minority representation. This was engineered by a Democratic state senator. I can't remember the gentleman's name.
State Rep. Bill Siebes, who just
Thank
recently passed away back in the early mid 1980s. He was Deputy Speaker of the House at the time, and he finagled where New London would not have minority party representation which is why at the moment we have literally all Democrats. There's no Republicans elected in New London already. The mayor, the city council, and the entire school board are all Democrats. There's no diversity of thought.
And I mean, opposition politics, I mean, every civilized, republic has this concept of an entrenched opposition party. Canada, parliaments, England, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, countries throughout the world ensure that there is at least a voting voice in government that can provide that dissension or provide different options and different approaches to problems that we all share. But New London and it's not New Britain, is it Bristol? I can't remember the other town.
I don't recall off the top of my head.
But there are only 2 towns in Connecticut that managed to dodge this. And I think this is something that the RTC is going to investigate, as well as being prepared to challenge the budget.
Well, it may have to be, in regards to the minority party, we may have to be and prepare for the long haul. Because quite frankly, the majority has no incentive.
Well, they might when it goes to,
At the moment, they've got no incentive to just, let's give up 2 seats.
It's too bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to give up 2 seats either if I was a majority party. Well, actually, no, that's wrong. I actually would like to have to see the minority party represented. So if there were 7 Republicans sitting on the city council and the Board of Education right now, I would be a huge fan to make sure that there was a minority party that was represented there that had 2 seats. It's not enough to change votes, but it's enough to do 2 things. It's enough to give a seat at the table to other voices, which I always have welcomed. And it's also enough to keep moderates, people who might not be locked into the machinations of the political machine. I teach U.S. history, and I mean, we've got Gilded Age, boss politic, political machinery going on right here, right now in our fair city. And we're not alone, for that matter. But other cities that do have minority party representation, at least there's that voice. So if you get some moderate person who's in the majority party, and if the minority party is making sense, you know something? The leadership of that majority party has to sit there and say, we might not want to try to do this because it's not going to be a home run. Because this guy's wavering, this person, she might be wavering. I mean, we might end up putting this to the vote and we might lose this vote because all they need to do is get 2 other people to...
I can speak from experience as the only Republican on the council within the last, since we've changed the government a dozen years ago. Adams Prakash served a term, and he was the only Republican, and I had 2 separate terms. But where just having the minority voice was able to secure a couple of votes from the Democrats, but also to get the community involved.
Yes, sir.
And when the community shows up in City Hall and they're looking at the council, I can tell you the council pays attention, especially when they're not happy. And it slowed down bad initiatives.
Yes, sir.
And they didn't pass, much to the chagrin of the mayor, who was less than enthused because he thought everything was just going to be easy going. One was the garbage program with the bags, and another had to do with centralizing all the city offices down in Shaw's Cove.
Right.
Those 2 in particular, and from a, like I say, huge minority position to be able to effectuate, I would say, positive movement. It wasn't negative; it was positive.
And I've been told that there might have to be this issue might have to be decided in the courts. Or it might have to require some serious lobbying to get the General Assembly to change their mind. And frankly, I mean, the likelihood of getting, our state senator and, the 2 state reps that represent New London or part of New London is slim.
Well, not the group that we have at the moment.
It's, And, that's unfortunate because, out of the three, I respect at least one of them, but I'm not sure if I could count on their giving it some serious thought. I'm sure that I'd hear lip service from all three.
Yeah.
But would they take it seriously? I doubt it. And even if they were, once again, in Connecticut, you have the party leadership, the Democratic Party leadership is pretty totalitarian with their rank and file.
They are.
They punish you if you don't march the line. They're going to punish you, and that's something that voters need to be concerned about. Ladies, once again, and gentlemen, it's when I ran, it wasn't well, you're a Republican, so that means blah 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 blah. No. I mean, I'm a citizen of New London. I mean, I belong to the Republican Party because many of its ideals of responsibility, citizenship, people being responsible for themselves and their communities, the idea of civitas, all of these things are really like fundamental to this. I'm a social conservative, but you know what? It doesn't matter if I agree with you on a social issue, this issue or that issue. I'm a fiscal conservative because I think that taxpayer money should be treated like it's your last dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, the city council should be looking at every nickel and saying, people suffered for this nickel. Okay, people are sacrificing for this nickel. So we better spend it wisely. And I don't feel that's the case. I don't feel that's the case in city government. I don't feel that's the case in state government. And I can't do a blessed thing about national government, and I don't care to. If we can make a change in city government, the state government will follow.
Yeah. Well, I'm asked frequently, what's the difference between being a Republican or a Democrat? And basically, in a sentence, my response is that Republicans believe in equal opportunity, and our Democratic friends believe in equal outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's manifesting itself at the national level, and it's permeating all aspects of our lives right now with this DEI stuff. And it's crippling us. It's taking us into socialism, which scares the hell out of me.
It's one of the electives I'm teaching this semester at the academy is the girls. I had a group of seniors, and it is all girls' school. And my seniors wanted to. I told my ladies, I said, ladies, I've been your teacher since you've been freshmen. You know what I've taught before. I mean, what do you want to do? And they wanted to do something with, they wanted to do an elective with human rights and justice. So I said, all right, fine, I've done that before. So as we're going through this, this semester, we've looked at, different human rights issues over the years, everything from women's suffrage to civil rights movements to global issues of war and genocide and conflict and segregation. I mean, I have students from Rwanda, and I mean, when you're teaching a human rights class and you have one of your students talk about their parents and their grandparents' experience, because they were there, and during the genocides in Rwanda, man, that brings things home. And so, and there's there are
and that doesn't make our news.
No. But I mean, there are issues of inequalities, and anybody who's going to argue that is really foolish. And what the whole thing of it is making sure that people have the tools to reach their potential. And my old man came off the boat, literally off the boat from the Azores. As a young man, my family was pretty poor, and my dad didn't make it to middle school, let alone high school. When I was a child, he worked as a day laborer. Then he worked as an apprentice plumber. And then he became a journeyman. Then he became a master plumber. My dad, when he was running the business, made more money with his 5th grade school education than I make with a master's degree as a teacher teaching in a public school at Top Step 5 years ago. All right? My dad didn't sit there and say, it's not fair, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. No, what my father did, he said, I have a woman I love, and then I have a wife that I married, and oh, look, now I have 3 children. I want them all to live well, so what do I need to do? And the United States is one of the few countries on the planet, and I will argue this with anybody. The United States is one of the few countries on this planet where you can come into this world with nothing and be bigger than Bill Gates. So it's, I'm a very strong believer in giving people the opportunities, the tools, the help, the assistance they need to rise to whatever level they can actually reach. The only bar that's unattainable to you is the one that you haven't figured out how to reach. And if you need me to help you do that, I spent 21 years doing that in New London. Okay? I wasn't just teaching for a paycheck. And folks, if you're a teacher, you know, you're sure not doing it for the summers off. I was teaching that, and that job made me happy every day because I was going in there and I was giving my students an opportunity to be more, to do more, to seize their dreams, and to have the toolkit they needed to do it. We only got a few minutes left, and I really want to, if you don't mind, end with a little bit about Emma Lincoln.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to step up on that, so let's do that.
Emma is one of these people that I have no idea how she managed not to have a park, a building, a monument, something named after her. Emma Lincoln was born in East Lyme, went to Mitchell College, came here to New London, and her list of achievements are absolutely remarkable, and I'm going to be reading them off of my notes so I don't miss any mistakes here. In 1951, she graduated from the Dale Carnegie School. She became a position of the International Vice President of the Dale Carnegie School, Northeastern America. She was an entrepreneur. This amazed me. Right here, New London, Connecticut. She owned and operated the Lincoln Auto Body in New London from 1944 to 1976. It was over on the intersection of State Pier Road and Crystal Avenue.
Over by where the high-rises were.
Yes, sir. She renamed the business to Lincoln Auto Services. And here's, folks, when she opened her business, she was the sole woman at the time to independently own and operate an auto body shop in the entire United States. Right here, New London first. Where her building used to be, there should be a marker saying this was the first woman-owned business in, auto body shop owned in the United States. She was actively involved in politics at a state and local level. She was the first woman, whether Republican or Democrat, to be elected to chairman of a town committee in the state of Connecticut. She was an active member, treasurer, and chairman of the New London Republican Town Committee.
She was the chair when I got involved back in the mid-'80s. So, I knew Emma Lincoln.
She was recognized by the Connecticut Republican Party at the Prescott Bush Awards dinner with the Pat Footner Award for her service, her longtime service. She was a member of the New London and Middlesex County Multiple Sclerosis Society. She was an active member of the New London Red Cross. She was an active member of the Connecticut Auto Trades Association. She was an active member of the YWCA. She was a hospice volunteer. And she was one of the original members, I think one of the original members, of the board of the First Steps program. In 1963, she was the first woman appointed by the New London Redevelopment Agency, and she also served as on the Ocean Beach Park Board. Her legacy is one of resilience, courage, leadership, community service, and she is one of these people that nobody knows of that should be on the lips of every kid in every school in New London. I was excited.
She represented the state of Connecticut at the GOP National Convention.
She did.
She had access to the folks in the highest reaches of politics when John Rowland was our governor. If she called the governor's office, she spoke to the governor.
That's what I heard.
She didn't get, there was nobody there screening her call.
And she's a New London gal. She was a New London gal. And folks, this is New London. We have grit, we have spirit, we have drive, we have enthusiasm. I mean, don't let Emma down. You can let me down. I can live with that. But Emma's up there looking down at us, and she's sitting there saying, "Come on, New London. This city is a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to raise your family. Let's come together." And as a chair of the new Republican Committee of New London, I invite you second Tuesday, 6:30 in the evening. Please come and join us.
Okay. Well, listen, it's been a terrific hour here, and I really thank you for carving out that little slice of time to be on the program again.
Always my pleasure, Marty.
I'm anticipating that we'll have you on from time to time here as things ebb and flow in our community and the state. We always have an election every year of some type, and we really didn't get a chance to get into what's going on this fall, but we do have our state reps and state senators. I'm not sure, is there a U.S. senator up this year? I'm not sure.
I don't believe so.
State congressman, Mike Francis will be challenging the incumbent Courtney for our state, our congressman, excuse me, in the 2nd District. And so there's a lot going on.
We have a lot of the delegations for the Republican State Committee is going to be over the next, the first couple of weeks of May. So probably by the 3rd week of May, the dust should have settled. And maybe we'll sit together a Wednesday where we can talk about what happened at the conventions and what we're looking at and how you can get involved. Because once again, if you're looking around at what's going on in New London and you're not happy, stop electing the same people.
That's so true. Well, folks, listen, you've been watching City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, and we'll be back again next week. And I've got the head basketball coach at Connecticut College coming in, a little sports program next week. They had a high degree of success, so I'm looking forward to chatting with him. So I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.